Welcome in to Bears Weekly, powered by IGS Energy, a Chicago Bears network production. Bears Weekly is brought to you by Advocate Healthcare, Athletico Physical Therapy, CDW, Connie's Pizza, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite. Here are your hosts, Jeff Joniak, a.k.a. the Mayor of Bearsville, and his sidekick, Tom the Surfmaster Thayer.
Good to be with you, everybody. A third straight AFC South battle in store for the Bears as they move into Indianapolis to meet the 0-2 Colts. We'll break it down and get some insight from Bears starting cornerback Tyrique Stevenson. This is Bears Weekly right here on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. We'll take advantage of a Thursday with the coordinators today and listen into each of their portion of their news conferences here at Hallis Hall in the ESPN studio. Spinning the dials tonight, Charlie Bevins. And thanks to our producers, Dan Brilli and Jordan Trutta from Bears, and the executive producer of the Bears Radio Network, Eric Ostrowski. Tom Thayer, lots of excitement about this season, obviously, before it got underway. Lots continuing. We have a bunch of new affiliates on the Bears Radio Network, and the requests to do interviews are starting to really populate. I know you were on Indianapolis radio today. Everybody wants to talk about the Bears.
Yeah, so let's talk about me and you first, because when you looked at the start of the season, you looked at the schedule, when you looked at the first two games of the season, what did we really both expect? I expected, I'll say it about, I thought they would beat Tennessee, and I thought they would struggle with Houston. So it's
Agreed.
No different than where we're at right now. So I think the season, it's not necessarily starting this weekend, but the interest in the competition is going to be peaked because you have a dynamic athlete at quarterback that's inexperienced. You go to an environment that could possibly have as many Bears fans as there are Indianapolis Colts fans. You have two films of evaluation for every segment on a football team that you can have significant improvement because you know what you're looking at, you know what you've been studying, and you know what you've been practicing since the beginning of OTAs. So as much as I was excited last Sunday, I'm super excited for the game this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an interesting thing that I was talking about with some folks. This is the fifth road trip already in 7 games when you add the preseason. Now, I know guys weren't playing, but it's a bonding experience. You're on the road. You're with each other more than you are at home because you're going to your homes. You're going to your families after work, and that's not the case when you go on the road. It's only one day, but the fact is they have spent a lot of time with each other on plane rides, and this has been the case all year. Is there any value in that from your perspective, or is it draining? Because, the fact is everybody got home really, really early Monday morning at 4:30 in the morning, so got to bed at 6.
There is value because everybody's in it together. It's all for one and one for all. No matter how difficult the traveling circumstances are, when you get to your car at 4 or 4:30, I got home at 5 o'clock in the morning, got a couple hours of sleep, and then got right back into work. These games that are interesting, to trip to Indianapolis, 45, 50-minute flight. So, man, you leave there Saturday, you're energy-filled. You get up early, you go to the stadium, you play a hard-fought football game, you win it, you have a great trip home, even though it's a short trip, and then you're with your family Sunday night. So what you didn't get last weekend, you kind of earned it back this weekend. And for the married guys with families and stuff, you go home and you spend time. For the single guys, you kind of have the camaraderie created with your friends and stuff on the football team. So it is two travel situations that each have a life of their own.
Interesting conversation I just had with Watto and Sylvie preceding our show, and if you didn't hear it on the Bears Radio Network, it was a great question by Sylvie. Would you if the Bears played well offensively but lost the game versus if they won the game and the offense is still struggling and pressure's happening and all this that happened in Houston, how would you feel? And it's funny because my immediate answer is I want the wins. I want the W's. I don't care how you get them. Things will work out. There's always something bad that's going to happen in a game. There's always something good in a game that you overlook when you lose, but you can pull out of you, and you build on that each week, and you fix what didn't work the week before. And we often when wins happen, we take style points, correct? There's always style points. I don't care about style points. This is just me now. This is just me. I don't care about style points. And if you lose, you lose.
Right.
And there's no salve in the world that can make me feel any better about that. And if, as they say, these are cliches that happen all the time. If winning matters, losing hurts.
Well, I'm not a lovable loser. What did Sylvie say? Did Sylvie give you some baloney? Okay.
No, he didn't.
All
no,
right.
It's a good discussion point.
I'd have to call him up by the time he's trying to go to sleep tonight if that was the case. Because, it's interesting when you go back and you do tape evaluation after you win a game. Sometimes you have a tendency to get yelled at a little bit more when you win a game than when you lose a game. Because when you lose a game, you're trying to make corrections that are going to affect the team in whatever segment you're correcting and you individually. So just the tempo of corrections the next day is a little different.
I can tell you this, too. Even there are coaches that I have done the interviews with, all these coaches for the last 28 years. And then when you talk to them after a win, they're happy. But when you start to get oh, boy, we did this, we did that. They don't want to hear it.
Right. Slam the door in your face.
Listen, we got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of time to go in that. We got things to improve on. That's where it goes 100% of the time. So, I mean, I feel for you as a former player. As you may have come off the field in your era and had just a wonderful game, but there's just this one thing that just didn't go right, and boy, you're getting your tail chewed.
Every great coach that I played for, they all said there's no such thing as a perfect game. So don't ever walk into a film session and think you've done everything that's uncorrectable. Because some way, some shape, some form, you did something that didn't fulfill your play obligation. And
even some guys, certainly even at the high school level, I've had friends that, hey, listen, man, we were 7-0. And the coach every single day is just riding my butt, and he is mad at me every day, just because he knows he could take it, and so he's using him as a tool to get the message across to the wider audience. But it happens to be your starting middle linebacker or your quarterback, and you're constantly getting pummeled, and you're not sure why until you figure it out.
It's funny.
I'm the leader. I can handle it.
It's funny, Jeff, because in the Super Bowl year, we are 12-0, and we are sitting in the meeting room because there's only one meeting room for everybody to sit in. And Kenny Marjoram walks in a little late, and he looks at a bunch of glum faces. We're 12-0. And he goes, I've never seen an unhappier bunch of 12-0 guys in my whole life. And it kind of was the one remedy to break it all up and everybody realized. But between Buddy Ryan, between Mike Ditka, who ran the projectors, it was never a day of compliments.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Kenny Marjoram a surfer?
Yes.
Yes, because everything's great in the surfing world, right? You're just living. You're just riding the wave, baby. You're just riding the wave. All right, coming up, a guy who's riding the wave right now is Tyrique Stevenson, the Bears' second-year cornerback. He's coming up next. That's Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak, and this is ESPN Chicago on the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
ESPN 1000 on the Bears Radio Network. We're brought to you by IGS Energy with Tom Thayer, Jeff Joniak, and our good pal, Tyreque Stevenson, starting cornerback year 2, Chicago Bears by way of the Miami Hurricanes. How you feeling, man? How's practice this week?
Feel good. Definitely was hot this week, but feel good.
Come on, you're from Florida.
But I've been up here, though, so I kind of...
Your blood has changed?
Yeah, I got acclimated. Got acclimated to the Chicago weather, but ain't nothing like that South Florida heat, though.
Yeah, now don't be complaining to me now when it's 20 below and you're practicing in December out there. How's that grab you?
I still ain't recovered from last year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I woke up one morning and it was just snow on the ground. I was like,
I'll edit that out. Don't worry. I can beep that. So you weren't loving the snow.
No, I definitely love it. It was something different, but it's just the fact that I was like, I'm kind of running late to practice and it's snowing. I didn't know how to drive.
This is beautiful. This is right in Tom's wheelhouse. Tom, what is your big thing? Don't be late.
Yeah, but I grew up here. I've been driving in snow my whole life, so it's not the same as my teammates of mine that have come from California and Florida and such and just don't have a lot of experience. Tyreek, so I just want to go back to the offseason because I got to congratulate you for what you were able to accomplish and the commitment you made to your family, because when I first saw the interview, I was overwhelmed, man. I was thinking, God, Tyreek, that is so awesome for you to do this. Do you feel like you have a relief, a little bit of pressure off your shoulders this season because what you were able to accomplish last offseason?
I feel like the pressure is higher, honestly, because I feel like I set the goals higher. I set better standards for myself to come back out here and handle the situations on and off the field at a better and higher state. I'm trying to get on my Jalen Johnson level with everything.
Yeah, and what does that level look like with Jalen?
Just calm, far as just, calm on the field, calm off the field, and, just finding who he is and figuring out, the guy he can be and presenting that to his family and presenting it to this building.
All right, so are you 29 for life?
Yeah.
Or... Yeah.
29 for life. Unless I'm no longer a Chicago Bear, I take a number.
You can't even speak that way.
I know.
Right.
But 29 for life. We're gonna retire 29 here at Chicago.
Yeah.
Good. Hey, so I just get a little bit into the quarterback play of what you face so far this season. So you have kind of an inexperienced guy in Will Levis, and then you got a guy that rookie of the year in C.J. Stroud. Now you got Anthony Richardson, who when we were at training camp last year in Indianapolis, we all got to see him. We all got to see what he's capable of from his combine efforts. Is it harder or more difficult to play against an unpredictable quarterback like Anthony Richardson or even Will Levis, or a guy that is going to throw the ball every time, mostly the correct throw in C.J. Stroud?
I would say an unpredictable quarterback because at the end of the day, going into that game, we knew C.J. liked to roll out to his right. We knew his favorite targets. We know, what routes he liked to throw. We know his tendencies, and, he put it on film over and over again. So we used that to try to get a heads up on C.J. and try to figure out how can we manipulate our defense in a way to push him away from his strength. With an unpredictable quarterback, you really ain't got no key points. And as a defense, the best thing we can have is key points to put us in a position to break on the ball faster or put us in a position to take away their strength. And just with Will Levis and Anthony, just very unpredictable, but great players and great guys that could make the plays that CJ makes. So I would say it's harder because you look at film, you look for tendencies, and these guys kind of in every situation.
So when you break the huddle, your defense, you go back to your position, you see what hash mark you're on, you see how much time is ticking down from the play clock. Do you have a Rolodex of information that you go through while the formation's breaking out, what you got to do? Like I said, not giving away information, but has that become a part of your game play in and play out routine?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's what made me play a lot smoother towards the end of the year and this year is just the fact I got with Coach Hoke and figured out a way to try to read the offense to figure out what do they do. Like I do it from running back to the end to the receiver splits. Like I always do that. I always count my yards and I always count where they line up to see what type of routes because I learned that certain receivers run certain routes and certain receivers do certain things.
Tyreque Stevenson, our guest here on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. Jeff and Tom with you, getting ready for the Bears and Colts, and a unique quarterback in Anthony Richardson. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. He runs a 4.4 340, and he's got a rock. He's got like a cannon attached to his arm. Back, you saw the throw to Alec Pierce.
I know him personally.
Okay, so you tell us what you know. Tell about your relationship with the Florida Gator. He's in fact, Caleb Williams is actually older than by a couple hundred days.
Young. Yeah, he's young.
22. They're both 22 years old. He has only played. This will be, I think, 19th game since high school. So he hasn't played a lot. So what are we dealing with here? What are you dealing with here? Tell us about your relationship with him and what do we know about it?
Relationship just like a football relationship. I feel like just being from Florida and, you come to camps, you be here. I was also wanted to be a Florida Gator at one point. So it was just like I just knew all the guys in the recruiting class, and that's how I kind of met Dexter and everything. But the guy we're dealing with is a freakish athlete. At the end of the day, we can go through his measurables, but let's be real. He put it on film. In Florida, he did his thing to get drafted in the first round. Then he come to the combine and shows he could throw off a 90-yard bomb. He runs a 4.3. He runs a 4.4, and you know all that. So we just dealing with a freakish athlete that we got to keep contained, and I feel like this Bears defense is going to do just that.
Well, the good thing is the corners on this team, they like tackling. So if he's running free, you're going to go bring him down if he's running free, right?
That's no question. That's no question. No fear, no hesitation. You know, you got that ball in your hand, you get cut down.
But plaster coverage, you know, that's going to be important, too, with this guy, too, right? Because, and you guys have had plenty of experience with quarterbacks like that, not only practicing against Justin, was he here, also with Caleb now. So is that easier said than done, though, when you're having to do that? How hard is that job?
It's very hard because it's just to the fact that, like, you can be in perfect coverage, you can be in perfect phase, you can read the route, and just off a quarterback scrambling, he can break the pocket and run 10, 15 yards up the field and come back downfield, and the quarterback can just have the ball there, and you just out of phase, and I just put this defense in a whole nother predicament to get another 3 and out. So I feel like plastering is very hard. No matter who you are, what you do, I don't think you chase around another individual who for 8 seconds and be on their hip.
Tyreek, you're a young guy, and I don't know if you remember when Jonathan Taylor came into the league. Do you know anything about him? Do you know anything about his world-class speed, what he did in college, and what a difficult running back he is when you're kind of dealing with a tremendous athlete at quarterback that filters back to the running back?
I watched a lot of highlights in college, and you know, when I watched his team, he definitely do his thing. But I would just say from when he first got in the league, it's burners now, and now I would say that he's a complete running back. He's patient. He hits the hole that needs to be hit, and then he has the afterburner. So just seeing that on film and just seeing it from college, he definitely translated into a complete back in my eyes.
You know, one thing about you and your career, you have to forgive me, because when I watched you come onto the scenes, I was going, Tyreek Stevenson is the most physical defensive back I've seen around here in quite a while. And anybody who would listen to me, I was going, this guy would be an all-pro safety, you know, and forgive me for saying that, but have you ever played safety, and where does your physical style of play come from?
I played everything. Honestly, I played everything from DN to linebacker to nickel to safety to corner. But I would say my physicality came from being younger. Like I wasn't always the first kid to pick on the team and everything. So whenever I got my shot, I just, used it to my best ability, and that started at linebacker. I started off at right guard, then I transferred over to center, and then when I got to high school, I started at
crazy. He was starting right guard for the Super Bowl Bears.
But
you guys have different body types.
Yeah. But I just feel like that's just the type of brand of football that I grew up. I grew up watching hard hits and everything like that, and I felt like when you get a hard hit, just this adrenaline that rush through you, and I love that adrenaline. So every chance I get, I try to abuse the fact that I'm physical.
Speaking of hard hits, how'd you like Hard Knocks?
Hey, that was dope. That was dope. I like how they painted the picture of the team, and they showed some intimate clips of the guys bonding together and cracking jokes and everything. And I just want people to know that, this is our job, but we love doing what we do.
Yeah, it shows. It shows, and it's a tight team. Remaining moments with you, Tyreek. When you're starting to get under the skin of opposing players when they start chirping a little bit or they're getting aggravated, and that spilled over a little bit last week. How'd that all start? How'd that end?
I honestly don't even know how. I don't know him. Like, when I go into these games, I really don't know these receivers. I'm not
studying them upon them.
Yeah, I'm not coming out there, hoorah and all that. That's not my game. My game is, if you try it, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you. And it just always start from the first play. Like, I guess the receiver just try to see what I'm on. They always run up and do the extra blocking, and I asked them, is this gonna be this type of game? Is it gonna be this type of game, or are we gonna chill and do what we have to do and get off the field? And some receivers pick.
They picked the wrong thing.
And with this situation, I can't tell you what I told them on air.
Can't do that.
But I guess whatever I said kind of
struck a nerve.
Yeah, and that was it. But after the game, I seen the clip where he talking to the media about, he put your finger in my face.
Yeah, we're talking about Nico Collins, everybody. Yeah. Right. He's a heck of a player now.
Yeah, great player. But I seen the media interview afterwards. He's like, you put your finger in my face, and I'm not one of them guys. No, bro, I told you something. and your feelings was hurt, and you retaliated. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Did get the Colts on Sunday there, practiced against them last summer. Are there any leftover feelings from the 2 days of practice that are going to rear their ugly head during the game with their folks, receivers or otherwise? Got Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. He's going to be healthy. That's a good player right there, and a guy you guys are going to have to. That's a guy that's comfortable with Richardson, the slot.
We seen that last year when practicing against him.
Pittman also, yeah.
Definitely a great guy. They got a great receiver core, and they play to their abilities. Far as with Josh being a go-to receiver, get the ball in his hands, he'll make the play. Pittman being the up ball, and Pierce being the guy that take it off the top. So practicing against them, we kind of know their strength and their receivers, but definitely excited to go out here and play these guys.
All right, enjoy. Secondary still playing, as you guys like to say nowadays, that's fire. You guys are playing, that's fire. Kyler Gordon, fire right now. He played a physical game the other day. Jalen. And they're still coming after you.
Yeah, I love
Second in the league in targets already. But you've only allowed 50% completion, so there you go. Nice job.
That's crazy.
Keep it rolling.
Excited. Definitely got to get some more interceptions, though.
Yes, you do. Get your hands on a couple this week. Thanks for joining us. Tyreque Stevenson, our guest. We'll continue with Tom and break down the Colts after this break on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 24 years, Jeff Joniak on the Bears Radio Network.
Calling all Bears fans, want unforgettable access to see the Bears play at Soldier Field this season? Well, VIP official ticket package is now available for every home game. Unlock access to exclusive ticket packages that may include entry to in-stadium hospitality lounges, pregame sideline credentials, and the Chicago City Pass. Visit ChicagoBearsVIP.com or call 866-202-5755 for more information. Again, that's ChicagoBearsVIP.com or call 866-202-5755. Don't miss this exclusive opportunity with Chicago Bears VIP. Jeff and Tom back with you. We heard from all the coordinators today. We're going to hear from Shane Waldron here, a big chunk of his. It was a long interview, Tommy, talking about a lot about the run game, a lot about pass protection, and identifying runs that fit this scheme. So it's an outside zone team, so you consider outside runs, outside the tackles. That's a high rate there. Indianapolis gives up a lot of yards outside the tackles. In fact, the most in the NFL. Is that part of the recipe here?
I mean, it is part of the recipe, but you can't ignore the fact that you also have the interior running game. And that's when you have the ability for the offensive line to gain a familiarity with everybody, and then the running back to learn a little bit about the offensive line. You give the most immediate access to big plays is through the center of the defense. Because if you get a running back on his feet at the second level, it's going to turn into a third-level run and possibly longer. But it is. The countless amount of reps you need for running backs to become familiar with the offensive line blocking scheme. And I think you can't ignore the fact that the interior running game for overall success is as big as part of the picture is the outside.
Got a block. Grover Stewart, outstanding player on the inside. Now more from the offensive coordinator's perspective, his Q&A with the media this afternoon.
The rest of our offense, I think it comes back to our fundamentals, our belief in the basics, starting up front where we're hitting our blocks, we're staying in phase, we're in a good rhythm with the backs, includes the tight ends, includes the receivers. And so for us on offense, like our offense as a whole, each week getting better and improving in every single area. And obviously the run game is something every single week we want to be able to lean on. So we got to be able to get that going and through great fundamental work and the practice preparation, feel like we're heading in the right direction.
How do you view the opportunity for you guys there?
Yeah, I think it really comes back to us and knowing that as an offense, we want to be able to establish a run every game that we, the opponent will be the opponent each week. Knowing, the past stats, they help you, maybe lean on something or another as based on the film study there, but also knowing it always comes back to us and knowing that they're going to, really attack something and approach something that maybe was a perceived weakness the week before that, where they focus on it, try to improve it. So for us, it just goes back to focus on ourselves, focus on our fundamentals, hit the blocks the correct way, and we'll be rolling. When we haven't gotten in a great rhythm yet offensively, there's been glimpses of it, obviously in the second game more so than the first. And so you say, don't have to go outside the framework of anything we're trying to do. So always leaning back on our training, leaning back on all the work that we put in throughout training camp, throughout OTAs, and really making the game as simple as that right there as we go into a week.
He said that he felt the offense was chasing one play and that they just couldn't hit on that. As a play caller, were you feeling the same sort of frustration as you're watching? It's a one-score game for the majority, but one play wasn't connecting? Yeah, I think for us, looking to, get points in this league, creating explosives, finding a way to be efficient down in and down out, and then be able to hit on an explosive play, being able to hit on a downfield shot, which hasn't come to fruition yet, but knowing that something we're going to keep going, not necessarily chasing that, letting it happen naturally within the flow of the game, and trusting in the process, trusting the preparation for those moments to happen.
Are you still at a point with the run game and personnel, when you talk about rhythm and working with the offensive line, which backs work best in certain situations, or do you feel like you guys have that flushed out? Yeah, I feel like we have a good group of running backs. I think Chad Morton and Jennifer King have done a good job of allowing those guys to gain a lot of reps and different styles of run throughout the course of the season. Throughout the course of training camp heading into the season here. And now it's about, finding that rhythm as a whole, feel good with Swift and with Khalil and with Roshan and the different styles that they can bring. Each week evaluating what fits them best. And like I said, in every week is its own individual entity and figuring out how they fit into the game plan this week, how we can maximize their tools.
Is Roshan still getting up to speed? Well, was there a reason behind him being active but not getting any work last week?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to, the ramp up and getting going there, knowing he's a great player for HT on special teams there, gets a chance to play there. And then just the way the reps play out each game, will be dependent on, us getting enough snaps. If we're able to run the ball more, get some more runs called, more opportunities will present themselves for the different backs in the backfield. Yeah, I think every week we're learning as an offense as a whole, where we're at. I think for us right now, starting point for the offense as a whole is to be eliminating negative plays. And I think starting with me, doing a great job getting plays in a timely fashion. Felt like we had a better rhythm this past week than the first week. And knowing, for all the young players on our offense, including Caleb, every single week they're going to learn, grow. The game will slow down for them a little bit more, and the comfort level will continue to increase. I think that's the steady improvement that we're looking for.
But at this point, you don't feel like you're asking Caleb to do too much?
I think Caleb's done a great job with what he's been asked to do. Don't feel like it's been too much, and I think more of it is the game reps, the live reps, so to speak, in the regular season here, and he's continued to grow. And I can't say enough about his attitude each day. He comes into work ready to learn, ready to continue. You're going to see different blitz patterns. You're going to see different front structures. You're going to see game plan elements every single week. And I think for him, the more reps he gets, the more times he sees it in those game scenarios, the better he's going to continue to get every single week.
Is there more of a mindset to maybe use some more 12 and 13-man personnel, just have more bodies back there and to help with blocking and maybe pop out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, usage of personnel right there, there's a few scenarios within that past game where we're in 12, chipping the edges, because the thing that's going to come back to the protection element is it's always going to take all 11, right? And looking back at the individual pressures, the individual sacks, and really trying to help our players, put them in the best position of the why a breakdown may or may not have occurred, but it's never going to come down to one thing throughout the entire course of a game. It could be, starting with the O-line every time, right? Were we ID'd correctly? Were we playing inside out in our protection mindset? Then if the tight ends are involved in the protection of the backs, they playing with clean eyes, clean feet to keep that pocket. Is the quarterback looking to get the ball out in rhythm? If he has to escape, is he doing with his eyes downfield and ready to protect the ball? And then for the receivers, are they working in the timing and rhythm of the pass downfield? So each play, each pressure that occurs, I think we're looking at that and knowing that we have personnel that we can mix and match and utilize to go ahead and mix up some of the protection looks is something we're always looking to do.
Shane, in pass protection, we're always trying to identify who gave up the sack. Mm-hmm. When it's a stunt or a game, where is the breakdown, and how do you correct those? How do you avoid them?
Yeah, I think understanding different sets as far as the pre-snap alignment, there are big alerts for stunts and games, knowing where help is, knowing what the communication is, both pre-snap and post-snap, and some of that communication occurs physically in terms of feeling a stunt or feeling a pick happen, as well as verbally if we're passing things off, and then also knowing where we can slide in the pocket depending on, certain flush rushes are going to create, the quarterback to move off a spot or try to get him to move off a spot to a certain way. So good subtle pocket movements can always help with those as well. So going back to taking all 11 against stunts, IDing it pre-snap, working together post-snap. Okay, if backs are involved, the chip or help on the way out, and then the quarterbacks with the subtle pocket movements.
All right, so that's Shane Waldron, a chunk of his extended news conference today, looking ahead to this matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. So, Tommy, you are very much in tune with a lot of what he's discussing here. What is your feedback after listening to some of his ideas regarding what's next for the Bears offense?
I think one of the quickest improvements for the Bears running game is going to be Caleb becoming more familiar with every one of his responsibilities that are included in the running game and the passing game. If they call a run in the huddle and the alternate play is a pass and they feel that their advantage lies in the pass, then I think the more reps that Caleb gets, the more efficient he's going to become. Because if you say, oh, my gosh, this is just an outside zone team, you can't become one-dimensional. Because the very first play of the game last week against a team with really two good, really defensive ends, they tried to run outside zone to the left. They gave up penetration on the left side and got tackled for a 2-yard loss. So you have to have a variety of attack points in order to run a game plan that can attack anywhere. And so there's different ways to improvement, and I think it's going to happen with more reps. But just the more reps that Caleb gets, the better understanding he's going to get how to attack defenses. And when he understands how to attack a defense, it's going to help open up the running game.
Yeah, and just open up the entire offense. It's I made it sound so simple before the season because of you can only take what the information you have presented to you at the moment. And so in a perfect world, you have all these weapons. You have a running game that you really feel good about. Like this team has been a good running team over the last couple of years, and just find your talent. Like find the opening, find the matchup you like, and get But then you throw in the pressure packages and the expedited necessity to get rid of the football and see the field, and then they're making changes and pulling your chain in the secondary, and so all that then becomes something that you got to work through.
Right. The thing about it, Jeff, if you think that you're going to look at a defense and you're going to, we're not going to run to the inside because they have Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat week 1. We're not going to run outside zone week 2 because they have Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. We're not going to run towards Grover on the inside of the Indianapolis defense. You can't make those decisions. You have to be able to block whomever is there. And you may not run at them repeatedly, but you still have to run at them throughout the course of the game. And who do the Bears play next week? The Rams?
Correct.
Imagine if Aaron Donald was there. You'd already be talking about him. So it's just a matter of no matter who's lined up, you still have to block them. And it's not like the old man in me talking about that because I played against defenses that had stars on the defense that we never shied away from them. We wanted to challenge them more. And I do think the Bears will be able to do that when everybody, quarterback included, becomes more familiar with their responsibilities.
Well put. That's Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. Coming up next, we'll get a defensive perspective from defensive coordinator Eric Washington as the Bears get ready to meet the Colts in Indy on Sunday at noon. This is ESPN Chicago and the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
And this segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by CDW. People to get it, Jeff and Tom, looking at the Bears and Colts. Bears defense, obviously, the most important stat is scoring, and they are tied for 6th in the league at 18 a game. And as we've discussed, 8 straight games, 20 points or less, 13 of the last 14 dating back to last season, and that's great. They are not allowing you to get the big play on the board. In a league right now where field goals are king. My gosh, Tom, it's unreal. Record for the first 2 weeks of the season. I think 71 field goals, and a lot of them are 50-plus, including from our own Cairo Santos.
Right, kickers are getting better. They're playing indoor stadiums. It's a pleasant part of the weather season where you're going to get a lot of these kicks. You have a lot of new quarterbacks and a lot of new head coaches where offenses are still in development stages.
All right, so from a defensive perspective through 2 weeks, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 critical statistics that I keep for every game. And for comparison, contrast, the Bears are ranked in the top 10, in some cases top 5. So heck of a start for Matt Eberflus, the play caller, and the defensive coordinator, Eric Washington, who met the media today up here at Hallis Hall to look back and forward.
Okay, as far as our week of preparation, yesterday's practice was excellent. It was an upgrade over last week's practice, and that one was pretty good. I thought the urgency, the attention to detail, I thought the speed was there. The hustle, all of the things that we need to line up and compete against this offense that we're going to face this week. Another young quarterback that has a lot of tools, size, speed, huge arm, can push the ball downfield, and he's got some speed that can connect with that. So we've got to do a really good job this week. Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion, this offense starts with him as one of the featured most productive runners that we've seen in the last couple of years. Attempts, yards, all of those things. He's everything that you look for in a featured back. We've got to do a really good job of maintaining our discipline as far as our gaps are concerned and our run fits. We've just got to do a good job of working together and making sure that we keep him in front of us with respect to our assignments. And Anthony Richardson, like I just mentioned, I mean, this young man is really the featured runner. When they start to transition to some of the college-style plays, the option plays, he's capable of running the football. He has excellent speed, size, and so we've got to do a good job with our assignments as it pertains to the option portion of their rushing offense. Offensive line, I mean, Quentin Nelson, he's been doing it for a long time at a high level. He's one of the reasons why their rushing game has been so productive. He's got a disposition. You're going to have to do a good job against him to maintain your leverage, to anchor the point of attack, and have a chance to win one-on-one as a pass rusher. So great challenge. Our guys are really preparing themselves well with the walkthrough that we just had and yesterday's practice. Really excited about the challenge.
Richardson has like less than 200 NFL snaps.
Mm-hmm.
What is the challenge when you've got a guy who doesn't have a lot of film, and in terms of what you think, what he's able to do and what he's not able to do?
Well, the offense has kind of declared itself as far as he's concerned. What they desire to do with him, to utilize his arm, his size, his ability, his quickness, his ability to be a featured runner. We have to account for them, and that's tough defensively when the quarterback is a second runner. So the offense has really declared itself, and we've got to do a good job against him and what they're going to present to us offensively through the quarterback's position. We have to be exceptionally detailed with our assignments, especially when they start to utilize him as a second runner with some of the option things that you'll see. And similar to last week, when we can't allow him to extend plays, especially when we do a good job of connecting with our coverage. We've got to make sure he stays in the pocket, and we can force him to throw the ball away or, at best, get him down.
Eric, with Montez Sweat, when you evaluate his play, what's the balance of production versus how often he's being doubled? How do you kind of assess what he has to go through each game? And obviously, I'm sure he wants to be on the stat sheet. You want to see him out there as well.
Well, he's going to get there. I mean, he has the talent and the mindset, the intelligence to get there. There are things that are obvious, sacks, hits, and those types of things, and sometimes there are things that are obvious to us. And what I'm looking at with Montel is how he's factoring on certain plays. There have been some plays that have been made by Gravon where Montez was a major, if not primary, factor in that particular play. So to me, it's just a matter of time. He knows how to get to the quarterback and to end the play with a sack fumble. And so those things will happen for him, and they'll happen in bunches.
And we look forward to that indeed as the Bears get ready to take on this Colts team that has had some issues getting points on the board as well. I got the deep ball accuracy and the overall accuracy is in question at this point for Richardson. Tom, I'm glad he brought up Gervon Dexter because Gervon is becoming a factor. And we had hoped that would be the case because when he continues to climb that ladder and become more than just a factor, but a big reason why the defense is playing the way it is. I mean, this defense can go to a whole new level, and I think he's on that track.
Right. You know, I don't know. So DeForest Buckner got injured for the Indianapolis Colts. There's a similarity between him and Gervon Dexter in terms of height, length, stretched out arms, reading the quarterback, what they can do in the center of a defense. And Buckner's been a great player for a long time, and Gervon Dexter could be that next man up with that size, that length, that strength to provide that type of interior spark for the defense. Because when you look at what you have to do against the Indianapolis Colts, the outside rushers, whether it's Darrell Taylor, Booker, Montez Sweat, DeMarcus Walker, they're going to have to rush with contain. Because the one thing you want to do is keep Anthony Richardson inside that pocket and try to get him in a throw forward in his back pedal. That's when you interfere with accuracy, and that's when you create interceptions. And I know he had a big play opening week where he was backpedaling and he threw it like 75 yards. He has those capabilities, but you don't want to give him vision and protection in time where he's able to use that big frame, that big powerful arm against you. Make him throw in a retreat or a read, and I think you'll give yourself some opportunities.
Tom, I've always said that if you're not accurate in college, you're not going to be accurate in the NFL. Whatever the completion percentage is, there's other definitions of what accuracy is, and that is ball placement. And we were at training camp in Indianapolis last year. We were in the near side corner of the end zone, standing right there when he threw a pass that, like, oh, my God, how did he get it in that exact placement? So he has that in him. It hasn't been because he hasn't had many snaps. I mean, the guy has not played a lot of football since high school. Let's be honest. But, so those kind of plays scare me with him. But so it's not like he doesn't have it. But how can the defense affect that side of him to continue to struggle with the accuracy and the ball placement?
Speed up his thinking process, Jeff, because if you think you're beat, we've been saying that too for 25 years now. And the one thing about that scares me in the red zone is Anthony Richardson, if he decides to become a ball carrier, he's almost unstoppable because he's got point of attack, he's got shoulder leverage, and he's got outside speed. And that throw that he made when we are standing right there was just an incredible anticipated throw to a receiver that wasn't even into his break yet. And then it finished with a touchdown. But you can never let him get into his comfort zone. And that's the one thing I think the Bears have the ability to do. Whether it's interior stunts between Edmonds and Edwards or outside pressure by the group of guys that we mentioned earlier. They just cannot make the night easy or the afternoon easy for Richardson.
All right, that's Tom Thayer. One more segment to go. We'll hear on special teams coordinator Richard Hightower on the punting so far of Tory Taylor, how it's impacting the Bears' field position and other things as we break it down. Bears and Colts coming up on Sunday in Indy. And this is ESPN Chicago and the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
Tonight, as we wrap things up here, this segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an in-clinic or virtual appointment and start feeling better tomorrow. We've hit the offense and defense. Let's talk special teams because, Tom, it's been very good. It's been very good.
Yes, it has.
Even without Patrick Scales, who's on IR. They've done a nice job in the operation, and Cairo Santos again off to a big start again.
I see that you do the air quotes when you talk about operation.
Yes, we
when
see
you
each
talk
other
about
on Zoom, by the way.
Well, when you talk about a new snapper, a new holder,
yeah,
and an experienced kicker, there's a lot of advice that Cairo can give those guys and like how he wants things done operation-wise, but you're not always guaranteed that's how you're going to get it.
And part of that operation is punter Tory Taylor as well, the holder and the punter, Richard Hightower, the Bears special teams coordinator, today at Hallis Hall.
No, not really. I mean, just guys, good leg strength, guys hitting a lot of good field goals, guys usually early on in training camp and operation is really good there. So I think that guys are at max strength earlier in the year, but I'll tell you what, our guys are the same way. They're in the meetings, they're focused, they're locked in. We're really excited about this week going against a really good opponent in all three phases of the game. So it's going to be a good challenge for us. Honestly, Coach, it's going to be a good challenge for us. I mean, we have a lot of respect for these guys. We have familiarity with them because of the joint practices. So I know that they're fundamentally sound. I know they're coached with really good technique. So we're going to have to really be on our details this week.
All right, so I ran the wrong bite. I was going to I have a different one, but I don't have time to find it now. But anyway, he's talking about the impact of Tory Taylor. We know, he's kicking the ball well. Field position is going to always be critical. Bears actually have very good field position numbers right now to start this season. So that's paying off with this kind of a punter, Tom, and that's always important. You don't want to have the long fields all the time for your offense. So that's part of it, and you want to make the other guys suffer and have a long field to work with because it is hard to not make a mistake on a long drive. That's what you're hoping for.
As soon as you get the opponent's offense backed up and you have a defense like the Bears, it's a sick-'em-type attitude. And it comes from the front seven that spills to the back end of the defense where they're immediately thinking turnover, interceptions that results in scores. And I've been a part of teams where our offense was in a significant development stages and our defense just did not, they just wanted to make sure that you play good enough offense. The defense will get you the ball back, will create good field position, and let's develop as a team. And I think that's the mentality the Bears have to have maybe this next 3 or 4 weeks as they're all in the learning stages on offense and they have a little bit of experience in veteran leadership on defense. Let those guys command the clock, command the time, and then you got to get yourself in a scoring opportunity on offense.
Yeah, Bears' average field position is the 31, so that's 11th. After kickoff, the 33.6, so that's number 4 in the league. So they're taking advantage of the new kickoff rule and getting a better than what it would be for a touchback by about 4 yards. So it's like a first down run that gets 4 yards, Tommy, which you're all about it. All right, that's going to wrap us up. Appreciate Tyreque Stevenson's time. Most of all, to you for listening. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak and our entire crew. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you from Indianapolis with a noon start. 10 o'clock, our pregame coverage with Sylvie, Dion, and Lance Briggs. And hope we come back with a win from Indianapolis. That'll do it. This is Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000, Chicago, and the Bears Radio Network. Black and Abdallah are next.
Thank you for listening to the Chicago Bears Network presentation of Bears Weekly, hosted by the Mayor of Bearsville, Jeff Joniak, and Surfmaster Tom Thayer. Podcasts are available on the Chicago Bears official app, brought to you by Verizon and Apple Podcasts. Bears Weekly has been brought to you by Miller Lite.